Basically, the case is about the Bank of Canada under Section 18 allows the bank to give interest-free loans to the federal and provincial governments up to a maximum of 1/3 of their annual budget, so long as those loans are paid the next fiscal year. Those loans are interest-free. The bank has not done that since 1974 when they joined the International Bank of Settlement and the international banking system over in Basel, Switzerland, and that is at their direction. We say that that's an abdication of governing, and that foreign private entities are controlling our sovereignty, and it's unconstitutional. And so we want a declaration that that provision has to be acted upon. And there's other aspects to the case, including the way they calculate revenue and expenses under the budget, which is improper and fallacious and misleading. That's another aspect of the case. This provision of interest-free loans is how Canada paid its war debt earlier than any other country. It's how we built the St. Lawrence Seaway. It's how we built the Trans-Canada Highway, etc. The irony is that while the Bank of Canada is not giving interest-free loans to the governments under the law, it's practically giving interest-free money to the private banks, who in turn lend it to our government at going market rates, which is insane if you think about it. On August 9th, the federal court struck the claim with respect to the Bank of Canada. We had sought declarations with respect to the provisions in the Bank of Canada, and we'd also sought damages for public misfeasance and conspiracy between the Canadian government actors and international bankers. Now, this decision, I have to say frankly, is one of the most anemic and lilting decisions I've read in a long time. It's completely wanting in logic and in the application of the law. In a nutshell, what the court decided was that the court had jurisdiction to hear the case, that my clients had standing, they had the right to bring the case, both individual standing and public interest standing, but that the claim was being struck because it was not justiciable. When the court decided that this is not justiciable, it really is a bizarre finding. And one of the reasons that the court finds it's not justiciable is that it finds that the Bank of Canada can refuse to give interest-free loans because the language in the law, in the Act under Section 18 is permissive because it says may. Well, if you can decide that, then you just made it justiciable. So we're caught in this vicious reverse circular reasoning of the court saying it's not justiciable because I don't think you're going to win. Well, then it's justiciable, isn't it? And so what the court has done is really short-circuited the process and not allowed this to go to trial on very specious grounds. And so we've appealed it. A notice of appeal was issued August 16th. We've heard from the court. They've scheduled the appeal down for December 10th at 9:30 a.m., Tuesday, December 10th of this year, 2013. We have to file our materials by October 18th, and the respondent has to file by November 8th, and so the matter will be heard for a full day in federal court at 180 University Avenue on December 10th. I'm not disappointed that I lost. You don't win all cases. I'm disappointed that this is such as I said, is such a bizarre, illogical, ill-reasoned decision that's circular in reasoning and result-oriented.
It's obvious that the court doesn't want to deal with this. And do you think that the fact that the court doesn't want to have to deal with it could possibly have anything to do with the outcome, or will the outcome of the case be strictly on the law?
Well, it's clear that this court official, this judge, did not want the case to go forward. He would not want to hear it. He's wrong in applying the law and his function. Is there a guarantee that the appeal judge or the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court of Canada, will apply the law? No. Courts sometimes do not apply the law when they politically do not want to hear cases. If you're asking me, is this the case here? I'm saying it's too early to tell.
I was reading in the Bank of Canada Act, there's this part, I think it's 17.2, and it seems like they talk about the shares in the Bank of Canada, and it almost makes it seem like the Queen's the sole shareholder, or I'm not sure if that's the reading of it, but like, did that ever come up? Or?
Well, that came up in argument, but the shareholders are held in trust by the Minister of Finance for the people of Canada, essentially. We're the shareholders. We're supposed to be.
So in other words, the Bank of Canada is not a Crown corporation.
No. It's a public bank overseen by Parliament and the Act of Parliament. It's not a Crown corporation, no. It's like the Defence Ministry or the Immigration Ministry, or it's a public institution created by Parliament. It's a public bank. We've arrived at a point in history where the bankers control the democratic process. There's no question about it. They control everything that trickles down. Finances controls every aspect of a capitalist system. It controls every aspect of any international trade deals. We're at a critical point. The Canada-Europe trade deal that they're negotiating right now, we hear rumor that one of the big sticking points is that the Europeans want our public bank, gone. And that they want even the possibility of interest-free loans by a public bank to the government for its people taken out of it by treaty.
Well, therefore, does it not follow that since the banks control the government, that they also control the court system?
Well, on an extremely cynical day, I would say that there's some control, but my experience is that no, they don't have complete control over the court system, no. I mean, judges are human beings, and therefore they may be swayed one way or the other politically sometimes, and by their own belief system. They're appointed and they're chosen, and so their natural political beliefs may and do impact on their judgments. But no, I can't really say that the courts are controlled. The day I believe that, I would hang up my robes. There's no point in practicing law. But I don't believe that as of today.
Okay, Rocco.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any thoughts on the press conference?
Why not? I think the government doesn't want to hear the case. And the reason they don't want to hear it is because they're all globalist bastards that are looking to take over the world. They don't want to use the Bank of Canada unless they're forced to. And I think that's what Rocco's trying to do, is to force them to be honest. But you're not going to get honesty out of government, are you? Terry?
I agree. Rocco said in the very beginning to expect this, and they're going to try to hold it up and hold it off as long as possible. And that's exactly what they're doing. They don't want this brought into the public spotlight. They don't want the Bank of Canada issuing our money. So they're doing exactly what we figured they would do.
And I'm all new to this, but the government will always try to push back everything brought to them. So.
The government always hopes that they can find a judge to just make it go away, and so this is what they do. It wasn't as much the case 30 or 40 years ago, but it is now. The government doesn't want to be bothered with, independent judicial interpretation of citizens' rights. It just wants to rule. It's no longer interested in justice. The appeal from this ruling that struck the action as non-justiciable, we've appealed that. So on December 10th, the appeal of that decision that was just made August 9th will be argued in federal court.